Hello and welcome to Delicious and Nutritious. My name is Chef Jerry Levine, and I'm joined by Marcia Richards, registered dietitian from Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital in the great city of Plymouth. A special thanks goes out to PACTV and the Center for Active Living for helping us bring this show to all of you. Now, our show today is, do you want to spice up your life? We are going to talk about 5 different spices, and I'm going to talk about the how to use them in the kitchen, and our dietitian Marcia is going to talk about the nutritional aspects of them. So let's go to the shoot. You want to spice up your life? I'm going to show you how. We're going to have some really delicious spicing, and we're going to talk about the nutrition and why these things are healthy for you. First spice that I want to talk about is cinnamon. And where does cinnamon come from? Well, cinnamon is from the bark of a tree. And some of the best cinnamon comes out of the Far East, and that is Vietnam. Vietnam has amazing cinnamon. So what I have here is, you'll look at this, and this is a piece of cinnamon bark from the tree. Now, what they normally will do with this is they'll take it and they'll wrap it up like this here, and you'll buy it this way. Or what you will end up doing is they'll chop this into different pieces, or you can buy it as a powder. Now, what do we do with these things? Well, what do we do with cinnamon? I happen to like to use cinnamon in tea and coffee. It's wonderful in desserts, and it's also wonderful in spice blends. We're going to talk about spices today that are generally not just used alone, but in combination with other spices. And the spices are critical, and I call them spice blends. So, does that smell good? Now, tea, coffee, desserts, cinnamon, pies, donuts. Make a donut while it's still warm and it has a little bit of the oil on it. Take that and sprinkle a little bit of the cinnamon on the donut, and you're going to have a lovely flavor. Because first off, it's going to smell really good, and then it's going to taste good. And have it with your cinnamon coffee. Now, what do I call cinnamon coffee? I call it a snickerdoodle coffee. And what's a snickerdoodle? A snickerdoodle is a cookie. And the primary spice in that is cinnamon. Now, let's discuss cocoa. What does cocoa come from? It's from a bean. It's from a plant. It comes out of South America. What they do is they take it and they put it and they on the ground, and they let it dry out, and then you need to process the bean. What do? You can either grind the bean up and you can make a little powder like this, or you can remove the oil, or which is actually called cocoa butter, and that becomes another product that you can use in your cooking. And the final thing that I want to talk about is that straight cocoa has some acidity to it, and it can have a little bit of a bite. There is a term called Dutch or Dutching, and that is what they do. It's done in Europe, and it cuts down on the acidity. Now, what do you do with cocoa? Well, we can make hot chocolate, or we can make just chocolate milk, or desserts. And desserts are really where cocoa shines. And it is utterly amazing. It has, and the one that you'll see here is that this is very dark, and it's the percentage of cocoa in the grind that it gives you the color. And this is unsweetened. So what do you need to do to get a typical sweet cocoa flavor? You need to add some sugar to it. And the amount of sugar depends upon how sweet you would like to have it. So, that smells good. Okay. Our next flavoring item is from the alum family. Now, what is alum? Alum is a family of that is onions, garlic, ramps, scallions, all the same. And what I'm going to show you is a little bit about garlic right now. Garlic comes in the form of a head. Now the head has cloves on it. So we break out the cloves and we take a look at, and this one happens to have a green stem coming out of it. Now, there's one thing I want to tell you and I want to show you about the green stem. The green stem is very bitter. So we want to remove that. I'm going to show you how to do that. We take my handy dandy knife and we give it a little bang, and that takes the skin off. And now you can see that the skin is gone, and we're going to take and we're going to cut this in half like this, and we are going to open this up and we're going to bend back this here and remove that, and we want to do the same with this here, and now we've got the garlic without the stem. And of course what we do is we just bang this a little bit and we do a little mincing and dicing. And now let's say we're a little bit lazy one day and we don't want to mince and dice. What we have here is garlic that has been dried. And these little pieces of garlic are delicious. And if you're making a stew, then you just put them in there. So, what do we do with garlic? You could do anything that you like to do with garlic. Garlic is extremely versatile. The only thing that I have not tried doing is making a dessert using garlic. So we're not going to do that. But I make soups, I make stews, I make bread with garlic in it, and I use garlic because it's very versatile. What's the proper way of if using garlic when we want to cook it? Well, first we need to do what I just showed you how to do here, and that is to remove it and do a little dicing. And now we're going to put it into a saute pan. But the most important thing is do it at medium temperature. Do not do it at a hot temperature. If the garlic turns black on you, throw it out and start again, because the black garlic is going to have a very sharp flavor that is not pleasant. You want to just get a little tanness on the garlic. So let's use garlic for spicing. Okay, right now we are going to do ginger. Now, what is ginger? Ginger is a root. It's also called a rhizome because it grows underneath the ground. And this is a ginger root right here, and this right here is powdered ginger. Now, the question is, what do we do with this lovely root? Well, first thing we need to do with this lovely root is we need to take the skin off of it, because the skin is really not edible. So we're going to put the powder down, and we're going to take our peeler, and we're going to start, let's do this little guy right here. And notice what's happening here. And I'm going to just cut a tiny bit off of that like that with my handy dandy knife. And look at how easy this is to peel. Oh, and it's too bad you're not here with me, because it smells so good. Now, what do we do with the ginger? Well, first thing we can do is we can slice it. Look at that. Look at that. Nice slices. What do we do with the slices? We toss them into a stir fry. We toss them into a stew. Okay, let's say we want just fine little pieces of ginger. Right here, we have our little ginger device here, and we're going to hold it in our left hand, and we're going to go up and down, and you can hear the sound, and you can see the okay, now we flip it over and look at this. We now have shredded ginger. And instead of having a big piece like this here, we have a very small piece, and this can go into your stews, it can go into your soups, but because the pieces are so much smaller, you get a lot more flavor. So enjoy your ginger. Okay, our next spice that we're going to show and discuss is turmeric. And okay, we have some ground turmeric right here, nice little fine powder. And where does turmeric come from? It is actually the rhizome or the root of a plant. And it's commonly used in various places such as Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and also India, and the Middle East also, Morocco, etc., or North Africa. Now, what is it used in? It's a coloring agent, but it also has some nice flavor. The question that I get from a lot of people is, can I use turmeric in place of saffron? Because saffron is very expensive. And the answer is if you take a look at the colors of the two of them, the saffron is a very dark, almost fire engine red, and the turmeric is a kind of a mustardy color. And I will tell you this, the flavors are very different. The colors are very different. Can they be substituted in the same dish? And the answer is no, because the flavors and the colors are quite different. Okay, that's fine. Now the question is, what do we do with the turmeric? The turmeric is wonderful in white rice, jasmine, basmati, long grain white rice, also the Italian short grain rices. And so it'll give you a really lovely flavor, and it'll also give you this lovely mustardy color. And what else can it be used in? I've put it in bread. I wouldn't think about desserts with this, but I think that it would work quite well in any kind of a stew, a soup. It also is good in a salad dressing. Very light amount. Excellent. Use that turmeric. It's got great color.
So we're spicing up your life this April. We hope you don't mind. Maybe it's already pretty spicy, but I guess we can probably all use a little bit more. So our focus, Jerry and I had talked about doing herbs and spices, and I think it might have been part of a discussion that we had during our last Delicious and Nutritious. And we thought it might be a great idea to talk about how herbs and spices not only provide a lot of great flavor, but they also have a lot of health benefits going back to the beginning of human population. So from a health standpoint, they are rich in phytochemicals. Phyto means green. So typically we get phytochemicals from plant-based foods. And they're relatively new to our science of nutrition. And what's being learned is they confer a lot of the health benefits that are in foods. Maybe not just the vitamins and the minerals that we're aware of, and the proteins and the carbohydrates, but these phytochemicals could very well be providing some of the health benefits from the foods that we eat. One of those health benefits is they help to fight inflammation. And inflammation is a process that damages all of the cells in our body. And if our cells aren't healthy, whatever part of the body that cell is taken care of, that part of the body might not be healthy. So fighting inflammation is a good thing. Another health benefit of herbs and spices is they reduce the need to add sugar. And I think Jerry's going to be able to provide us some great information when we move into those actual herbs and spices, how we can use them to replace sugar, perhaps. They also help us to reduce added fat, which can contribute to heart disease if it's not the right type of fat. And we've talked about those a lot. We want to use more of the vegetable and plant-based oils. Using Herbs and spices help us to reduce added sodium or salt, add flavor without added sodium. And this can also help with hypertension and reduced heart disease. And because we're being able to reduce the sugar and the fat in food, we're able to reduce our total calories. So I've got a little bit of information about cinnamon, cocoa, one of my favorites, garlic, ginger, and turmeric. So let's take a look at them. So cinnamon adds sweetness, but it's low in calories. You can add it to just about everything. It's very nice in coffee or tea. One of the attributes of a health standpoint for cinnamon is it does reduce that process called inflammation that I was just talking about. It does this because it has the ability to fend off free radicals. So free radicals are things that form during all sorts of body processes. When we are digesting, when we're respirating, when we're fighting off bacteria and viruses, when our immune system activates, free radicals are created as a byproduct. Taking medicines can create free radicals. So free radicals cause that process of inflammation. So cinnamon has been found to perhaps fend off these free radicals, therefore reducing inflammation. And there is some research that they also help to fight bacteria that could get us sick. So those are some of the health benefits. So I bet what you really want to know is, okay, good, I know what it's good for, but now what do I do with it? So what are a couple of things people can do with cinnamon, Jerry?
Okay, I'm going to tell you about cinnamon. First off, where does cinnamon come from? It actually comes from Southeast Asia originally, and it is the bark of a tree. And if you look at a cinnamon stick, and not the ground cinnamon that you get in the little shaker, you'll see that it is a piece of bark that's been brought together. And the question is, it comes out of Southeast Asia, but the finest cinnamon comes out of Vietnam, and it's just where it originally came from. Okay, let's talk about where it can be used and what, and I'll tell you some of the things that I really like to do with it. You've all heard of a snickerdoodle cookie. All right. So it's got cinnamon, it's got nutmeg in it. And I like to make a snickerdoodle coffee, and it's delicious. But cinnamon is also really good in herbal teas. And it's phenomenal in desserts, such as pies, cakes, donuts, and of course, we're all trying to be healthy, so we put into our blender and we put some fruit, and we do and we add some cinnamon, and we have a smoothie, right? But it also can go into breads, English muffins, scones, and it is very famously used in a lot of different types of stews. So it's very healthy. One of the nice things, and Marcia brought this up, and that is that cinnamon and any of these spices can help you lower the amount of sugar and sodium and in the recipes. And I do it all the time using that. Okay, Marcia, let's talk cocoa.
All right, cocoa, believe it or not, cocoa is a spice. It is full of a type of phytochemical called a flavonoid, and flavonoids are antioxidants. Some research is showing that cocoa might play a role in helping to lower our cholesterol, also lowering our blood pressure, and it might play a role in preventing diseases like cancer. The key with cocoa, however, is many of us might eat it in a form of maybe milk chocolate, where there is a lot more added sugar and added fats. So we want to try to have purer cocoa, less sugar. And I'm going to hope that maybe Jerry can help us choose some better options for when we're implementing cocoa into our diet.
Yeah, actually, I can. First off, I'd like to talk a little bit of where cocoa comes from. It's part of a bean which is in a pod on a cocoa tree coming out of South America, and it is there is some fat in the bean, and that is called cocoa butter. There is a process called Dutching, which removes some of the acidity, so you get a little bit less bitterness. And we have different levels of cocoa that go from something that is kind of like a brownish cocoa, and there's sugar in it, but then we go to the darker cocoas, which I happen to really like, and they're more intense, and they have this lovely cocoa flavor to them. All right, what do we do with it? Well, the first thing we can do with it, especially as a kid, is I want chocolate milk. Done. So we mix some cocoa and cut back a little bit on the sugar. All right, that's good. It is delicious in cakes and cookies. It's great in dessert, but it can also be used in a very light amount of cocoa in a stew. And it just brings up this really interesting flavor. And okay, let's try some garlic.
Okay. So garlic, one of the principal ingredients in garlic that is providing health benefits is called allicin. Has been shown to lower heart disease risk, reduce cholesterol levels, reduce blood pressure. And I need some clarification from Jerry on this, but one of the things that I did learn, and I didn't realize it until I was doing the research for this particular program, is that you have to chop or crush the clove to get the benefits that the allicin forms after the cells in the garlic have been cut or crushed.
That is correct. And because if you want to release the nutritive value and the flavor from garlic, it needs to be crushed. But there is one other thing, is that if you take the garlic and put it in a saute pan, and your crushed garlic, put it in a saute pan, and cook it lightly, just so there's a slight brownness. If it becomes overcooked and it's black, throw it out and start again. All right, what does this do? It makes the garlic less strong, and it adds like a little bit of sweetness to it. And it totally changes whatever you're going to cook. So let's talk ginger.
So ginger, if we had an upset stomach, the first thing my mom would give us is ginger ale. And it does ginger as a spice, helps an upset stomach. It has been shown to calm the lining of the digestive system. This helps to reduce nausea. They're also finding that it has those same anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties as the cinnamon that we talked about earlier and the cocoa. And it has been shown to maybe help the lining of the coronary arteries, those arteries that feed the heart. They become healthier in the presence of ginger. So what's your favorite use of ginger, Jerry?
Okay, actually, my favorite use of ginger, and because it comes out of Asia, I kind of like it in Chinese, Japanese food, Vietnamese, Cambodian type of food, because it adds just a really nice flavor to it, and it also has a slight sweetness, but it is also mixed in numerous spice blends throughout various parts of the world. Okay, we are now going to talk about turmeric.
One of my favorites, so health benefits, it contains an element called curcumin, which is felt to be the healthy part of turmeric. This is an antioxidant that eases inflammation and might help ease pain. A lot of people are taking turmeric as a supplement for arthritis and back pain and different things like that, but definitely add it to your food. It might also prevent or slow Alzheimer's disease. And this might be happening because it might help to prevent the plaques that form in the brain that lead to dementia. And this is all part of dementia and Alzheimer's. So what do you do with your turmeric, Jerry?
Okay. Turmeric is used in many dishes from India, also from the Orient. And one of the most important things that I want everyone to understand, turmeric is not a substitute for saffron. Totally different color, totally different flavor attributes. So you can't substitute one for the other. The turmeric is delicious in rice dishes, different types of Oriental blends, and any Oriental dishes that one wants to try. Okay, Marcia, it's yours.
So we would like to thank all of you for joining us. Without you, we don't have a Delicious and Nutritious. We'd also like to thank PACTV for always supporting us, definitely the Plymouth Center for Active Living, and also Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital in Plymouth. So Jerry and I and Tom and Beth, we are so glad that you joined us today, and we look forward to seeing you in our next show. Take care, everybody.